Hello everyone, this is Rebecca Jane from yogawithrebeccajane.com. This class is focusing on the spine, and we're going to be talking about the 5 major movements of the spine. So there's 5 of them. One of them is it's the side bends. There's the rotating twists. There's the flexion, which is the forward folding. There's the back bends, which is the extension. And then there's the axial extension, which is where it's lifting up, lengthening through the spine, decompressing the spine. So I'll take you through all of those different postures, which will help you experience those different shapes and those different movements. In yoga, we pretty much always move the spine in those 5 ways. It's often we don't realize that we're just moving. So this class helps you to become more in tune with your spine. Okay, so we're going to actually start in a child's pose, and I have the mantra for today, which is I'll tell you in a moment. Let's come into our child's pose. We don't really need anything, maybe blocks at some point if you happen to have blocks, but if you don't, that's not an issue. Otherwise, just your body. So coming into your child's pose, bring the knees close together, either hip distance apart or together, squeeze them together so we can begin to connect with the spine. Forehead resting on the ground, or if you need to place your forehead on something, feel free to do that. This is flexion. So this is where we're folding forward. This is where sometimes we spend a lot of our time in flexion, at the desk, washing our dishes, whatever we're doing. But yet our spine is meant to do this. It's meant to fold forward and then to lean back. So it's part of the movement, natural movement of our spine. So let's take a few breaths in and a few breaths out and feel that connection to this. Think of the spine from where the neck, the head meets the neck, or the cervical spine, the top of the spine, and then all the way down to the tailbone, which is it's called the coccyx. And from here, breathe into the back of the body, feeling around the bra line. As you breathe in, see if you can stretch the skin. And let's inhale into your tabletop with your wrists underneath your shoulders, knees under your hips. Let's start to flow through the cats and cows. Your legs can open a little bit wider till they're hip distance apart. So on. Now holding your cat stretch, which is the rounding of the spine, flexion. But continue to breathe here. The tendency when we hold a posture, we want to just hold our breath. Let the breath flow in and out. And every time you exhale, the tummy pulls in a little bit further towards the spine. And then inhaling, lifting, coming into neutral, which is the natural curvature of your spine, and then into your cow stretch, which is what we call extension, where you lift your heart, you take your tailbone and lift it up. As if you had a tail, it would be pointing upwards. And then soften the tummy down, lift your chin. And let's exhale through neutral into our cat shape, back into flexion. So the beauty of these are the 2 basic major movements of the spine, but we do these all the time. But especially, maybe more so, the rounding of the shoulders. But in yoga, we need to do both, the flexion and extension, to counter what we do, counter both of them. Let's do a few little cats and cows. Letting your eyes, allowing the eyes to close and feel into how the spine changes its shape. When you're rounding the spine And then as you inhale and you open up the heart, this is a back bendy type shape. Then let's come back to neutral. Curl the toes under, sit back to your heels, slide your hands forward until they reach, take them as far as you can go, keeping the elbows up off the ground, armpits facing downward. So this is what we call axial extension. So it's the axis, it's the spine. Bring your chin towards your chest. Forehead can rest on the ground if you'd like. So this is so when we stretch out the axial extension, we're thinking about the spine from the tailbone all the way to the crown of the head, but it's really where the neck, the spine and the head meet. Chin drops, forehead resting. And take a breath in and stretch through the length of the spine. Now this is an option to stay here or come into this at any point, or follow me into downward dog, where we're going to experience that movement, the axial extension. So I'm being quite explicit because as we go into other types of classes I teach, you can actually understand how the spine works. From here in downward dog, press into the big toes. Make sure the inner edge of the feet is working. Your knees do not have to be straight here. We're not worried about the legs as much as from the tailbone all the way to your neck. The full length of your spine. This is where we stretch and lengthen. Decompressing our spine, where we tend to, there's a lot of pressure on our spine. Over throughout the day, they become compressed. So we're decompressing them in this shape. Take an inhale and exhale and lower the knees down just for a moment. Sitting back and taking a pause and circling the wrists. If your wrists begin to hurt, it's too much for your wrists, you can either come onto forearms or do that extended child's pose. Otherwise, follow me again. Take a breath in. This time we're going to go into your downward dog. Bring the feet so they're about hip distance. The knees can be bent or soft. Take an inhale, lift your heels up. So as high as you can. Then maybe you can straighten those legs, chest towards your thighs. Drop your head. Bring your chin towards your chest. And you take your tailbone up a little bit further. So this is axial extension. We're stretching, decompressing the spine. Taking all that extra load, that tension off the spine. And let's take an inhale and exhale, walk to the front of the mat. And let's let ourselves soften now into the forward bend. Let ourselves settle down, forward bend, flexion. Take your hands on your ankles, even if you're pretty flexible. Just stay here, drop your head, shake your head no, shake your head yes. We don't want the tension in the neck. Inhaling, sliding the hands up the shins, just below the knees, pushing into the shins. We're back to that axial extension. Crown of the head reaches forward, tailbone lengthens back. Soften the shoulders down. And then exhale, just let yourself fold forward back into your forward bend. My hands automatically touch the ground, but see if you just place your hands on your ankles. So here we are, you're rounding the back. And then inhaling, you're lifting up. This is how the halfway works. You're not just doing it you're pushing into the shins. Some of us will have our fingers on the ground, but for this particular, for today, we're lifting, pushing into the shins. Then let's lift all the way up, coming up into our standing pose, into Tadasana. Reach the arms up to the sky. Bring the hands together in Anjali Mudra, or what they call prayer, and lean back. Opening up. So this is extension, not axial extension, but back bending. So you're leaning, and now we're going to fold forward. Let's do this a few more times. Let's lower ourselves into our forward bend. into that flexion shape. Inhaling, pressing into those shins, lifting up halfway. So we're stretching through that spine. The crown of the head lifts forward, presses forward, forward bend, and then inhale, sweep your arms all the way up. Lift the hands above your head, and let's lean back, opening up the heart center. Let's do this one more time. Folding forward, all the way down, using that spine, healthy spine. As your hands touch the ground, take an inhale, hands on the shins. Crown of the head reaches forward, tailbone lengthens back. So when we've decompressed our spine, we've created space between forward fold, between the vertebrae. It makes us feel taller, which we are, and actually we feel so much better. Reach back. That's often why a yoga class, after yoga, we feel so much better. Let the hands float to the heart. We're standing in Tadasana. Take a pause here. Pressing into your inner edges of your feet, so the big toe mounds, the little toe mounds, and the heel. Soften the knees, but draw the knee caps up. Tailbone lengthens, lift up tall. So now we're doing that axial extension. Lifting, at the same time pressing down. Thinking of how the spine lifts and also draws down simultaneously. Okay, so we're going to inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. This time, interlace the hands except for your index fingers. I'm going to spin around so you can see me. Feet are hip distance apart, and then stretch to the right. So now we're doing another major movement, our side bends. So this is how and then inhale, lift back up nice and tall, and then exhale over to the left. And breathe in. So our spine is on this beautiful curve. And then inhale, lift back up. Let's fold forward back into our flexion, forward bend. You don't have to understand the words. It's just understanding what your body's doing. Let's step your right foot back, lower your right knee down. Let's inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. Lift up nice and tall, extension. This is an axial extension. Exhale, twist to the left. So we're starting our twists, twisting, the rotation. And then inhale, lift up, reach through the crown of the head. Exhale, twist again. So you start with the chest forward, squared forward, and then you twist. And then take an inhale, lift your arms up, lower your hands down. Frame your left foot, heel toe that left foot in just about an inch, and then come onto the heel of that left foot, fold over that left leg. Now you're in flexion, forward bend. Inhaling and exhaling. Take a breath in, rebend your left leg. Take your lift back up again. Reach your arms up. This time take your hands to your heart and then twist. You could place your right elbow on your left thigh. Either hands together or make a fist with that right hand, left hand on the fist. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, twisting. So you're going to pay attention to your back, especially the part of your back that twists easily, which is around the bra line. The rest of the spine and the neck, but other than that, doesn't twist a lot. Inhaling and then exhaling, arms lift, and then lower the hands down. Step back into a downward dog. Either take a child's pose for a moment if you need a break. That's perfectly fine. Otherwise, in either child's or in downward dog, let's do just a few little bends and straightening of the legs, loosening up our hips. Let our head float from side to side, loosening up this spine. Because it's become quite, stiff, and you're working muscles that maybe you haven't paid attention to in a while, especially to this intensity. And then let's inhale back to stillness in your downward dog. Or in your child's pose, extend your arms forward, back to that axial extension. Come onto those toes, so lift your heels off the ground. Chest towards your thighs, drop your head. Chin towards chest. Breathing in. If your toes, if it's starting to hurt, coming onto the toes, or then let the toes drop. Let the heels drop. Take an inhale into your plank. Float into that plank. Either knees down or knees up. Crown of the head reaches forward, heels back. Whether you're down or up, I want you to take your tailbone, extend it down towards your heels. You're strengthening your spine, but you're also doing that experience of that axial extension. Lower the knees to the ground, come all the way down onto your stomach. Keep your hands either next to your chest or slide them forward a little bit. Squeeze your elbows towards each other. You can even lay the elbows down. Into cobra, squeeze the elbows in, inhaling, lifting your chest forward. Softening the shoulders down, breathing in. If you don't breathe, this posture loses its energy. It just becomes a thing to do. Taking an inhale and exhale, lower down. Slide your hands next to your chest. Curl the toes under, press up. Let's press into our child's pose, extended with the arms reaching forward, toes curled under. Just pause here for a moment. You can stay here or follow me, downward dog. Take a breath in and take a breath out. Step or jump to the front of the mat. Once you're in your forward fold, this is flexion. And then inhaling, hands on the shins. Lift up. So this is the axial extension. Stretch through that back. Press into all three corners of those feet. And then lift all the way up to standing. Take a breath in. Exhale, hands together above the head, except your index fingers. Let's stretch to the right. Exhaling. Inhaling, lifting back up, soften the shoulders down, and then exhaling over to the left. Side bend. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, float forward, all the way down, forward bend. Let yourself soften here in your forward bend. Inhaling, pressing into those shins, lifting up halfway. Exhaling, hands to ground. Step your left foot back. I'm going to spin around so you can see me on this side. Lower your left knee down. Inhale, so we're in a low lunge. Inhale, reach your arms up so that axial extension. And then exhale, open out to the sides. Little twists. Inhale, lift back up. And then exhale, twist. I'm trying to get my arms straight. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, this time, twist, but place your left elbow on your right thigh. Make a fist with that left hand, right hand on the fist, or hands together, and twist even deeper here. So concentrating more so on the back. Where does that back twist easily, and where is there not much movement? Lower back, upper back, but the neck and the bra line, that's a pretty twisty area. Reach your arms back up, lower the hands down. Heel toe that right foot in a little bit. Don't worry. Fold over your right leg, come onto that right heel. I think I did the twist a little bit early, but that's okay. We'll just stay here. Forward fold, fold over that front leg, flex your right foot, and then take an inhale and rebend your right knee. This time step your left foot forward to the front of the mat, forward fold. Taking a breath in, and just let yourself hang here for a moment. Taking the opposite hand to the opposite elbow. Shake your head no. Shake your head yes. Then release the hands down, inhaling, reaching up this time, all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart. Breathing in, sweep your arms up to the sky, and exhale, float down, forward bend. Inhaling, pressing into those shins. Lifting the crown of the head forward, tailbone lifts. Make sure the inner edges of the feet are pressing into the ground. Lower the hands down. Step your right foot back. Flatten out that back foot. Heel toe the left foot over to the right. I'm going to swing around. We're going to cartwheel our arms into warrior two. Keeping your head in line with the spine for this one. So there's no looking towards your left finger. Keep it in line because we want to keep our mind's eye to the actual spine, the exact lengthening of the spine. Once you turn your head, it changes the cervical spine, or changes the spine shape. So take a breath in and then straighten your left leg. Take your right hand on your right hip and fold over your left leg. This is called triangle. Hands on the shin, or if you have a block, on the block, and reach your right arm up. So this starts off with more of an extension, where we're concentrating on lengthening through the legs, lengthening through the body. There's no real side stretch at all, as much as you think. So what we're going to do to turn this into a side stretch, your left hand can stay on the block or on your shin, and then bring your right arm over that right ear, stretch over to the left, and then just bend your left arm. Make sure you're not putting any pressure on that knee, and fold over. If you can touch the ground, do so. I'm going to actually keep my hand on my shin, and fold, 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 and then inhale, lift back up. Woo. And then let's just go to the other side now. Turn your right toes forward, left toes, turn them back, warrior two on the other side. Arms in line with in a T shape, head and shoulders in line here. Take a breath in, and then straighten your front leg, left hand. So this is where the block comes in handy. And left hand on the left hip, and then hinge over your right leg, either on the shin, and then lift your left arm up. So I can do the shin version, but when we go into more of a side bend, then it's a little bit harder to keep your hand on the shin, unless you can actually touch the ground comfortably, which we don't want you to do. Most of us cannot touch the ground comfortably unless you're very flexible. So keep your hand on the shin or on a block, and reach your left arm over your left ear as I touch my plant, and then allow the left arm to just soften into a crescent shape, into a little circle, half circle, and then bend your right elbow and stretch, creating a C shape with your body. So you should feel the stretch all the way up through the left side. So this is our side bend. You can bend your bottom elbow if you'd like to increase the stretch. Otherwise, lift back up. Turn your toes forward to the long end of the mat. We're only going to be on one side. Take your hands on your hips. Soften those knees and lean forward as we fold all the way down into our forward bend. Back into that flexion. So we've done it all 5 major moves. Inhaling and exhaling. And then wherever the front of the mat is for you, turn those toes that are at the front of the mat to the front of the mat. Spin them forward and step back into your downward dogs. And then lower the knees to the ground. And let's come back to where we started our practice, in our child's pose. Forehead resting, elbows resting. So we've come full circle. It's an amazing thing, this spine. But if we don't understand it, which most of us don't, we just do our practice, do our yoga practice without really having an idea of what's going on, other than we're stretching, we're doing side stretches. But why is that so important, and why do we pretty much in every yoga class. Stretch out the spine, usually doing the 5 different movements, primary movements. A lot of forward and backwards for sure. Let's lift the arms up to the sky, and then we're gonna, oh sorry, I didn't tell you. Come sit on your bottom, extend your legs. Reach your arms up to the sky, and that's forward bend. So yeah, the biggest problem for most of us who might have back problems is because we're sitting a lot and your spine does become compressed. So yoga helps us to utilize the spine the way it should be utilized. We should be moving, slide your bottom to your heels, and let's come all the way onto our backs. Let's hug your knees into your chest. Little rocks and rolls from side to side. So the mantra actually for today that you could carry with you is to be true to yourself, or stand your ground, which meaning opening the arms out to the sides, dropping your knees to the left, turning your gaze to the right. So no matter what people might say and try and sway you from your belief of something that's very strong, or people asking you to do things and you don't really want to do it, stand your ground. And this whole practice was about standing the ground, being able to stay true to ourselves, which is the way our spines naturally move. This is who we are. This is what our bodies were evolved to be. Let's pick your knees back up, give yourself another hug, maybe forehead to knees so you can get the full stretch of your spine, and then drop your knees to the right. Open the arms out to the sides, knees drop to the right. So this is a spinal twist. This is a rotation. And usually in yoga we don't say, well, I'm doing a rotation or I'm doing an axial extension. You don't know that. You're just doing it. But somehow you feel really good at the end. Well, because we've taken your spine and we've moved it in all the directions that it's supposed to. It evolved. It was meant to move. Hug your knees into your chest, and then let's prepare our bodies for Shavasana. Left foot to the left corner of the mat, right to the right. Let the arms settle out to the sides a few inches. Palms facing up, chin slightly tucked. Let your body melt. Allow the natural curve of the spine. There's curves in the spine. Allow it to return to its natural shape. In everyday life, we rarely move in all those directions. Very rarely. So this is what we're doing. We're moving in the way our spine is meant to move. Hence, healthy spine. So as you continue on in your Shavasana for the next 2 to 5 minutes, letting yourself just be here in all this glory. I will come up to seal our practice for this spinal session of many. The more we understand our bodies, the more we can do in our yoga practice, but it translates into our lives as well. When we're healthy and we can move much more freely, we feel better, we're much more productive. I could give you a list of things, hundreds of items of why this is so important. As I bring my hands in front of my heart to seal the practice for today, for this session. So standing your ground, staying true to yourself. This is Rebecca Jane from yogawithrebeccajane.com. If you enjoy my classes, subscribe just by pressing the button over on the right-hand side, that little tiny box, and comment. Give me some comments below. Thumbs up. Have a lovely, lovely day or evening, whatever time you're doing this class. Namaste, everyone. I'll see you soon.